Welcome to the Exact Digital Podcast, the show where we dive into how digital marketing agencies are using paid media to drive real growth for their clients and for themselves. From planning to ROI and everything in between, we uncover the strategies, stories, and systems that set agencies apart. Each episode, we'll talk with agency leaders who are innovating with paid media, scaling their businesses, and delivering results that matter. Whether you're looking to expand your services or sharpen the edge of your current offerings, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this episode of the Exact Marketing Podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of being here with Ms. Cheryl Broom, who's the CEO of GradComm. Welcome, Cheryl.
Hi, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So can you start off by telling us just a little bit about yourself and your agency?
Sure. So I have a history working in higher education. I was a marketing director for a community college for 10 years. And during COVID, I saw a big need for colleges who needed help. They needed help marketing. And I decided, well, I can do that. So I started GradComm, and we specialize in higher education marketing, specifically with community colleges and adult education centers. And so we grew from just 2 people in 2020 to today a pretty good sized agency working with colleges across the nation.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you said y'all have worked with how many?
We're up
higher
to over
education?
100 right now. So over
Wow.
100 different colleges. Yeah.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. And I know that higher education in and of itself has its own set of needs. And so can you just kind of talk about how has the role of paid media evolved in the higher education space over the last few years, especially since like post-pandemic?
Yeah. It's interesting when I am at a party or meeting with someone and they ask what I do, and I tell them, like, nobody gets it. It's like, what do you do? Well, the colleges do, they advertise. And I think everybody finds it so surprising, particularly for community college, which are free for a lot of students to attend. But higher education enrollment is a competitive market. There's a lot of competitors around. There's a lot of people a lot of colleges have gone out of business, some who've grown really strong. And I'd say it was probably about 10 or 15 years ago when I was still with the college that we noticed we really had to get out there and market. We had to start not just doing PR and press releases and having a nice website, but actually paying to get people to see us. So that shift, I think, happened, I would say, about 15 years ago. And at that point, most of the colleges that I work with now were starting to try to do things themselves. So they might run their own small Google campaign, or they mailed a lot of class schedules, to a lot of mail, did a lot of newspaper ads. Newspaper ads were huge. And then as digital marketing became more sophisticated, the colleges became more sophisticated. And so now almost every community college that I've ever met does some sort of paid marketing, whether it's brand-based marketing, just getting their name out, or more often than not, program-level marketing. There might be a new program they need to promote, or maybe a program that suffered from low enrollment that they need to get the word out to the community. So paid marketing has become a really important tool in a community college and in a four-year university's toolbox.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I do have a question, and I'm going to kind of set the table here a little bit. You recently released a white paper, and so I kind of want to talk about that here. And if you can, give us a little bit of idea about what types of paid media campaigns have proven most effective for colleges, and some of the things that you actually released within that white paper.
Yeah, so the white paper was a super fun project. I decided in 2024, we booked $4 million worth of digital media for our community college clients. So we occasionally have some clients outside of community college. So I stripped those out. I just wanted to look at our main vertical. And so we looked at $4 million worth of media, and we kind of balanced out all these campaigns, like hundreds of campaigns for budget. So I wanted to strip out budget because obviously if you have a bigger budget, you're going to get more engagement.
Right.
And we wanted to take a dive into like what keywords are performing the best for our search campaigns. what email subject headers are doing the best, what platform is performing well on social media, and what type of ads, and what strategies and what age groups and what creative is working. So I thought, oh gosh, I thought maybe AI could help me with this. Then when I started, I'm like, okay, I'm going to pull all this data and I'm going to have AI help. AI did not help, just so you know. AI is not good at reading data. It is not good at reading spreadsheets or giving insights. So my team actually like dove in and took a couple months to really analyze all these ads. I'd say our biggest platform that we market on right now is still search. So we're putting, I'd say, 40 to 50% of client budgets into search engine marketing. And really, what we saw there when we were looking at search terms is geography for community colleges ends up being really important. People are searching for how close programs are to their home, and they're searching for program titles. So they may be searching for like welding classes in San Diego, like that. Those are the popular searches we're seeing rather than San Diego Community College welding classes. They're not searching for that as much. They're really looking for a program name. They're searching for affordability, financial aid, price. So kind of not any really big surprises out there for search, but definitely shows the thinking of people. I mean, they want something that's affordable. They want it close to home. And more often than not, they're looking for a particular pathway to a career. And that is something that has changed in community college marketing. Is we used to do a lot of branded campaigns, a lot of just we're the closest to home, or we're the most affordable, we're the best faculty, we have pretty campuses. And now the messages that show the purpose of the degree are resonating more. I mean, people want to know how fast, short term was a big search term we saw. How fast can they get through a program? And how quickly can they get a job, and how much money will they make? So they're much more technical in their searches. So our clients are needing to adapt to making sure that they're bidding on the right words to reach people searching that way.
And I do want to ask a question here, because I can speak to the fact that a lot of the community colleges that I've actually worked with, just their demographics in and of themselves have changed as well.
Oh,
From
yeah.
that traditional student, when dual enrollments really started, they already kind of had a foot in the door with some of those seniors that were coming to them that had already been enrolled in
Right.
classes. So it was just like a logical step for them to come into the community college and finish out the degree where they had started. They already felt at home with the programs and things like that. And so a lot of the marketing has actually shifted to like a non-traditional
Yeah.
student. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So the older students, like age 24 and up, it's like 24 to 36 is the fastest growing segment for community colleges and also for four-year universities. So we're right now, my son is 17, he's graduating this year. He is the largest graduating class, I think in history, or like the last 50 years, but it's the largest class in a long time. And now starting this year going forward, classes are shrinking. It's called the enrollment cliff.
Right.
So we're going to see this more and more over the next couple years, more institutions fighting for those high school students. So colleges have started to really look at reskilling and upskilling and marketing to those people who aren't happy in their careers or who may want to progress. They may not want a degree, they might want a certificate, or they might want a skill. We're also seeing, less faith or less trust in higher education. It's been a good thing for community colleges, frankly. They've kind of had they're having a day in their sun right now where people trust a community college a lot more than kind of an elite university. But even community colleges are seeing less interest in degrees. I mean, they want skills. They want something to get out and make money. They don't necessarily want to invest 2, 3, 4 years for an associate degree. So older adults, it's funny, we call them older adults in our marketing, but they're like 24.
Yeah.
They're not older. They're still babies.
Yes.
But they're people who have work experience. And, we do a lot of campaigns where we're targeting certain industries. We might target like waitresses, for example, or people in the service industry to let them know about like hospitality management certificates. So really specific targeted marketing to certain industry professionals to upskill That's the beauty of digital marketing too, is you can reach those people. Mhm.
Absolutely. And I believe that even though when I think of an 18 to 24-year-old, there's not really much age difference there when you talk about 6 years. But when you talk about like the life stage of somebody who's 17 and about to go into college,
Yeah.
and then you talk about somebody who's 24 to 30 years old that has been out in the workforce, you have to speak completely different to
Yes.
those two people. And so there's, a whole campaign that's going towards that younger individual that's that traditional student, and then you speak differently to that non-traditional student. I think some of the things
Exactly.
that are important to a traditional student are not as important to a non-traditional student and vice versa.
100%. I mean, the older students, we definitely still focus campaigns around affordability, but really does it fit in my life?
Right.
How when am I going to be able to take classes? Because maybe I can't take them during the day? Or do you have daycare at night? Because I have a 4-year-old and I'm going to take evening classes. Where am I going to put my child? So there's other services that we have to market to make sure people know like it is possible for you to go get this certificate. Like we're going to be here to help you along the way. So that's made the campaigns a little bit more sophisticated and necessary because you talk to people in focus groups and their immediate reaction is I don't have time. I can't make this happen. And then the colleges have to convince them like, yes, you can. Like we're here
Right.
to help you make it happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I'm a strong believer in. I- I'm a product of community college. I did it the right way, and I tried to get out as cheaply as I possibly
Right.
could, and so that was my goal, and so I'm a big believer that, like, I was one that went through and started from the bottom and worked my way all the way to the top, and my whole goal was to get out of college completely debt free, and I was able to do that. So I'm a big proponent of, "Hey, you can do it, I
Yeah.
promise." Like,
That's
it
great.
that path is possible for anybody, so, I love that. But, and that really speaks to, a lot of times in these advertisements, I feel like people have to see themselves in the ads.
Yeah.
When you're talking about changing your life, that's a very emotional and a very personal subject of I'm not happy where I am, but I feel so overwhelmed with life right now. How do I make that next step to like make a change possible? How do I make the time? How do I make it affordable? Like, what are the things? And so you really have to speak to that when you're speaking to that non-traditional student, and you have to speak to all the things for that traditional student as well of
Yeah.
the fun campuses and all the things to do on campus. And you can't exclude one or the other, but I
Exactly.
definitely think there's value in both. And I think that, being able to speak to them in the right way and letting them emotionally feel themselves at that next step, I think is really important in higher education advertising.
Yeah, it's so important. I just read a study a couple weeks ago that was some sort of survey of high school students about what worried them about attending a community college, and the most frequent response was a lack of community. And so I
Wow.
sent that out to my clients and said, this is maybe a talking point you should have some ads around. Is a younger student wants to feel like they get to campus and they're part of something, that they're not just driving to college and driving away, that there's
Right.
activities and there's things going on. And in this white paper we did, we looked at our highest performing ads on Meta, and our highest performing ad, which had almost an 8% click-through rate, was the ugliest ad I've ever seen. It was made by a student intern on her phone, and it was just video of free taco and dog petting day on campus. And we turned it into an ad and we just said, like, how does your college support you? At this college, here's some ways that like students get help. And it's like little chihuahuas and like kids are petting them and there's people eating tacos and it's like free food, there's free food. And we got more clicks and action on that ad than any other like beautifully produced ad
Yes.
that we had all year. And I think it speaks to that community because people are like, oh, this college, like they give away free food and they have animals to pet and like, look at how happy everybody is. I'm looking at it from a production standpoint. There's like trash cans in the should have moved the trash can, but it didn't matter. The people watching the ad could see themselves at that campus, and
Absolutely.
clicked through. So,
And I think that the younger generation is a lot less likely to be trusting of advertisement.
yeah,
And so when you have things that don't appear as advertisement and they truly have that authenticity that we talk so much about in advertising, I think that that really makes a difference. One of the things that I actually did, and this actually kind of leads into the next topic we were going to talk about, which is limited marketing budgets, is I actually had a community college who empowered their ambassador
mm,
team to actually go out across campus. It was actually a part of the course that they were taking on ambassadorship. And they went across campus and they did just different videos and
yeah,
they turned those in, and that became social media paid content.
yeah,
And it performed amazingly well because it was just showing like the day in the life
yeah,
of your typical college student. And it resonated so well. And it was like people could see themselves being a part of that, hanging out with your friends in the cafeteria or going to class, and, and just the cool things that they were doing in class and things. And so it was like, it really kind of piqued people's interest. And of course, the community college loved it because it's like, we have students that are making content for us and it's not costing us anything. And so that was just like a huge lift off of their shoulders. And though it wasn't polished, though it wasn't
yeah.
absolutely wonderful, it resonated really well and performed really well.
Yeah, it does so great. I mean, the day in the life videos, those are some of our best performing ads, and they do not have to be anything spectacular. And I
No,
look at my own student, my son who's 17, he hears of a college. He's trying to play soccer in college, so he might hear of a college soccer team or get hit up by a coach, and he immediately goes to TikTok. And I watch him watch these day in the life videos, and that's all he does. And then he makes a decision. So then as a mom, I have to be like, okay, we can't make a decision based on a 15
their
second
TikTok present.
TikTok girl. Yeah. He's like, is she cute? How cute are the
Priorities, mom.
girls?
Got to get those priorities right. I love it.
But they do. And I think it's the platform they're on, but it also is authentic. He doesn't want to click around a website. He wants to see what it's like to be a student there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
No.
And that kind of leads into what we were going to talk about next is, having some of that authentic, having that day in the life, and part of the reason why the community colleges were empowering their ambassadors to do the creative is because I know that a lot of times higher education is very limited in their marketing budgets,
Mhm.
and their budget is their budget, and you have to stretch that as far as you possibly can to maximize return. So how do you prioritize that with content and paid media when it's
Yeah.
a very finite number and you have to try to make it go as far as you can?
I know this is one of our biggest challenges because, we only work really in the higher education space. So I don't know if your other clients are like this, but they love the shiny object. So everybody wants to chase the shiny object. And we always try to steer them back to the foundations of what we know actually work. They also love to be on every single platform. Like we have to be on Spotify and YouTube and TikTok and Facebook for the parents, but we only have 1,500 a month. So you have to be like, okay, we got to talk about expectations here.
Yes.
But we always try to prioritize what we see perform the best. And because we work in just this one small space, we're able to have data from so many clients. And really let's start with search and meta. That's our two foundational platforms. And let's focus on those. And then if they have a strategic plan, which most colleges do, but they often have a strategic plan and then forget to bring marketing in on it. So we'll go look at your strategic plan. What should we be marketing? Why market a nursing program if it has wait lists? Like, I know those pictures are great. Everybody loves nurses, but are there other programs that are priorities for the college? So we'll try to get them to choose areas to focus on. And then from there, we'll look at who do we need to focus on? Like if you need to grow We actually have some clients who cannot capture their high school yield from their district. So these students are going to other colleges or not going to college at all. So maybe we need a campaign just for high school students and their parents. Where other ones know high school population's decreasing, we've got to focus on these older adults. So really getting them to focus on what's important to the college is the first step. Without that, we just see a lot of wasted budget, throwing things to see if they stick, or spreading themselves too thin. So that's the number one thing is prioritization, and trying to get them away from like billboards. Everybody wants a billboard. We have one college who was booking billboards just because their president drove by the billboard every day. And that's like, well, he saw it, but did anybody else? Like, is it getting you anything? So,
Well, and I do want to ask that because I have run into this a little bit, and that is that these colleges who have a very historical footprint tend to want to go more towards traditional advertising, which is, your local TV station, your local radio station. But, it is such a battle to explain that is not where your target market is
yeah.
playing. If you want to advertise to your target market, you have got to get away from these traditional footholds and go more to the more modern way of targeting these individuals. Do you run into that at
Oh
all?
yeah, a lot. This is like a marketing issue because we all consume marketing, so we all think we're marketers. And you go to a college and you have to report to a president, and then the president reports to a board, and the board is usually older, a lot of times retired, and they listen to the radio and they still read the newspaper and they drive by the billboards, and so they think that's where you need to be. And it takes a really strong marketing director, somebody who has a backbone to say, I'm not marketing to you. I'm not marketing to 66-year-old retirees. Like, trying to get somebody in their 20s to come to campus.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, having data and having stories around successful campaigns is great. I do tell our clients that type of marketing, traditional, we do a lot of direct mail still. It's had a good resurgence and we get a good return on investment on it. But a lot of the other marketing is really for internal. I mean, it really is to show your college that you're doing your job. Um, and so we try to steer them away. It's so expensive and you can't measure it, and your students aren't there. We do offer a media habits survey that colleges can give their students that shows where they're spending their time. And that really helps make decisions too. Because if somebody's unsure, they have 10,000, sometimes smaller, 5,000, 10,000, sometimes 18,000 people on their campus that they can ask. What are you doing every day? Where are you consuming media? How did you hear about the college in the first place? And that's a great tool, especially when you have to go in front of a board to say, we surveyed students and those under the age of 20. Here's how they're spending their time. Here's what they're on. Here's where they're looking at ads and content. And that will help a lot of times make some decisions as well.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So, as far as your agency goes, how do you guys measure the success of a paid campaign for higher education? And what KPIs matter the most to your colleges right now?
Well, always enrollments matter. And this is a frustrating part of being a marketer, and probably the most frustrating part of working in my agency is only marketing really only affects a student taking an action to get in touch with a college. Like, that's our metric that I like to measure is, did our campaign lead to a website visit and then someone either filling out a form, chatting, making a phone call, sending an email, or filling out an application? Once they're in that pipeline, marketing doesn't touch the student anymore. The student then becomes part of the student services department, who then walks them through the enrollment process. But when your enrollment numbers are bad, marketing is blamed, even though so many different things happen on the path to become a student. One of the products that we offer our colleges is a secret shopper experience. And we'll hire potential students to enroll in the college and then document the journey. And there was one college where we had a secret shopper leave 36 voicemails for admissions and never get a call back. Never. She couldn't complete her application. So there's issues like that happening with students who can't get someone to answer their question because colleges are understaffed. So I really try to advise my clients. Enrollments are great. Of course, if you want to celebrate with your great marketing campaign, but you're really only impacting that first step of becoming a student.
Right.
And that's making some sort of inquiry. So we try to measure that. So of course we measure like your cost per click and how many clicks, but we really want to look at, okay, what's action has been taken? Once they hit your website, are they calling you? Are they filling out a form? Are they going to the application page, maybe coming back later? And those are the things that we look at.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, you've given tons of useful information for institutions of higher learning and even agencies who are working with
Hmm.
institutions of higher learning. So, if there is a college or an agency that's working with a college that wants to get in touch, can you tell me how they could do that?
Yeah, of course. So you can just go to our website at gradcomm.com and there's a way to contact us on there. I'm really active on LinkedIn. So please connect with me on there as well. And then, like you, Tasha, I have a podcast. It's called Higher Ed Conversations, and it talks about more than just marketing. We talk about trends in higher education. And so that's a great resource for people too. If there's, I mean, we talk about everything from leaderships to missions to marketing to crisis communications. So I encourage you to take a listen as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sounds like a wealth of knowledge. Well, thank you so much for your
Yeah.
time and being with us today. And we just appreciate you. I know you're busy, so we thank you for taking the time to sit down with us at the Exact Marketing Advice podcast.
Great. It's so great talking to you. Thanks for
Thank
having
you
me.
so much.